Mom, I'm on TV.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the podcast Through the LenZ, where we take a look at what it's like to be a Christian in the world through the eyes of teenagers. Today we have the privilege of having some of our senior girls here. So we have Kiana.
Hello.
And Emily.
What's up?
And Mary.
Hi.
What are some of your favorite memories from middle school and high school?
So we went on the Belize trip last year in June and July. And it was a student-led trip, and I was lucky enough to be one of the leaders, and it was really life-changing. It was a big shift on how I perceived the world, and I had a blast. I loved it so much.
So being that you were able to be kind of a part of the student leadership team, what did that look like for you before the trip?
I was not a leader at all. I didn't talk to anybody, and this really forced me out of my comfort zone, forced me to actually communicate and talk with people.
Was there anything while you were there on the trip that really stuck out to you or was kind of a life-changing moment, like an eye-opening moment for you? Any specific things?
We were delivering groceries and praying with the people that we had delivered them to. And after we had gone to this one woman's house, her and one of her kids were taking the bag of groceries that we had just brought out to like a little shop that was in front of her house, because she knew that she wasn't the only person around her that needed whatever was in there.
I think I would just agree with Mary that like a lot of like the trips that we went on like were just really impactful, like Belize. And I think like the West Virginia trip was also like really cool. I don't think you guys went on it, but there was just a lot of bonding that went on, and like just being able to like talk to people like one-on-one, getting to like have fun with them, and yeah.
Really relational and growing with.
Yeah.
And that was a youth group trip, school trip?
Yeah, that was a youth group trip.
I think anything that involves my friends really helps me come out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think any trip, like the West Virginia trip, was really eye-opening for me, because at first I'd felt like I was close with everybody, but the West Virginia trip kind of made me even closer, and I felt really comfortable with everyone. And my favorite thing from that was just going like rappelling, because that was actually terrifying for me, but I felt like with everybody there, it was like I felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I felt God's presence through everybody.
Having that community of believers together.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to ask you another question, just kind of on the spot. Do you have any specific highlights or memories of your time throughout middle school and high school where you were able to, in the school setting, step out and either like God provided an opportunity for you to kind of act out your faith, or to act in like Christian leadership at school?
So at the beginning of the school day at Carroll, I think this started like my sophomore year, but we just started like praying in the commons area below like our main staircase, and like people who weren't Christians or like didn't associate themselves with like Christianity like saw us, and like some people like eventually joined us, which I thought was really cool. And we just like got to like show people like God's love and just like pray like each person in the circle. So yeah.
We had a thing called Mix It Up Day at school, which is basically when you get a random card and you go sit at that lunch table at lunch. And so it's like you get to talk to many different people. And I knew one of the girls that was at my table was a Christian. And so I asked her what her favorite Bible verse was, or favorite story. And we kind of just bonded over that. And she did end up telling me that she hasn't been going to church lately, and that I did help her like want to go to church more.
That's really cool to be able to see.
This year, I was able to be the president of the art club and the captain of the swim team, which was just an awesome way for me to show people how close I am with Christ. I honestly got a lot of questions about it throughout the school day and stuff, because they would come up to me and ask me questions like, why do you believe what you believe? Or even just, what is Christianity to you? I would have really deep conversations with this one friend in particular, because she was turned away by the Catholic Church when she was younger, and that really, really hurt her view on Christianity in general. And so when I met her, we started talking about it, and I think she eventually said that she wanted to go back to church, but it's definitely a hard road, but it was awesome to see that this year.
I love how God has provided opportunities for all of you guys in what people would consider, the secular world of public school. And yet you guys have seen the opportunities just in the daily things that God places before you to encourage other believers, to just be a light for him. And Mary, that's exactly what I was thinking of, just your leadership roles that you were able to have this year, and just the talents that God has given you with swimming and art and pursuing those, but also letting God lead you into those areas and conversations with other people. And I think that's been really neat. Do you have any regrets from middle school, high school? Can be church related, school related.
One thing that I regret is not getting as involved in things through high school. I was pretty involved in middle school just because there wasn't as much to do. But being in show choir in high school, it kind of limited my opportunities, but I feel like I still didn't take the opportunities I did have. I mean, I went to football games, but other than that, it just wasn't much. And I really wish I would have done it, because going through like people's like Instagrams or whatever, you see like everything that they did over senior year, and it's like, I wish I would have done that.
So more activities and just things throughout from school perspective. Okay.
To kind of go along with that, I think I missed out like talking to a lot of people, which is kind of weird for me to say considering like how introverted I am. But I feel like there are a lot of cool people at my school and like just like church and other places that I like go to, and I feel like I missed out on like a lot of cool stories that I could have heard, and like just a lot of like life lessons that people could have taught me over the years. Just like being able to talk to those people and just like getting the courage to do that.
My biggest regret would probably be my inability to say no to things. I would constantly be stressed out by all of the things that I had to do, because I had to do homework, I had to go to swim practice, I had youth, I had Olympiad, I had just schoolwork in general. I had to make sure I was everywhere when I needed to be for clubs, and I spent most of my sophomore and junior year absolutely emotionally exhausted because of it.
Mm-hmm. It's a hard thing to learn, because especially when some of us are just wired so much to be people pleasers. We don't want to let anybody down, and we don't want to let ourselves down. We don't want to let our parents down. We don't want to let God down. And we just sometimes run ourselves completely ragged, when in reality, the best thing we can do is say, you know what, I got to take care of myself right now. So you guys have had such a weird senior year. So life's moving on through high school, pretty normal. You're in your activities, your clubs, your church involvement. Then we get to spring of 2020. So obviously the last, 8 weeks have not gone how anybody thought they would. What's it like having the year end so abruptly, and what did you miss most?
I think I miss just the school environment the most, because of course you're still getting taught lessons, whatever, but on a screen you don't get to communicate with your friends or the teacher properly. It's kind of just, it just felt fake.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just company feels super nice now compared to what it did before, because we took like our friends and like the time we get to spend together like for granted, I feel like. And now that we can see each other, it feels a lot better, because I felt so lonely like during the whole situation.
Do you think before all of this, do you think you would have said that, or do you think you placed more value in like the show choir and events and extra football games, stuff like that? Like, do you think you have more, you realize now how more valuable those relationships were?
Yeah, I definitely feel like now, or back then before COVID really like took a turn for the worse, I feel like I was just kind of going with the flow, and I was like, okay, whatever happens, happens. But now I'm like, I want this to happen, I want this to happen. And the relationship aspect of it, I think, has really changed. And I feel like that is positive, because now it makes me like think about my friends more. Like, what would they want to do, or how would I want like to treat them if like this is like the last time I got to see them for a long time?
I mean, some days I just wake up, I'm like, it just feels unreal. Like, this is all fake, and I'm just gonna wake up and it's done. But it's not, and it's been a roller coaster of like emotions to work with. Like some days, like I'm really happy, like I got outside a lot, I talk to people. And then other days I don't even leave my house, and it's just like, I mean, this wasn't my life like 2 months ago, so it's just really weird.
It was crazy, man. It was absolutely insane. The first thing that I said to my parents when I found out was, I know I wanted to graduate early, but not like this. And I bawled. I think I really just missed the structure side of it. Kind of combining their two answers of, I miss going out and seeing people, but I also miss having a schedule and a time where I do everything. It's really hard to get my motivation up. It's just crazy.
So what do you feel like God has taught you about yourself through this whole season of COVID-19, or what have you learned about God through this season?
I wasn't like prioritizing God, and I think he was like, Kiana, you need to like fix yourself. So here's the virus, and I've been spending a lot more time with God. Like not at first, because I was kind of like mad at God, but like we started like doing like Bible plans like as like a youth group, and that started like getting me back into it. And then I started doing my own, and like I've been just like learning a lot from God, just like from the plans.
I feel like I liked to control my situations, and this is an obvious thing I can't control also. I think I've learned that I need to just let go of it and let him do what he has planned.
Looking back, reflecting on your life from little sixth grader up through now, all of you are done or almost done with your senior year. How would you say you have grown as a person?
The biggest shift from middle school to high school has been how much I've been more comfortable around people and able to be around more people for longer amounts of time. I'm still pretty shy. If it's a new group, I'll just sit back and listen. But once I get comfortable, I mean, Kiana knows. It's nonstop.
So following up on that, what does that look like? If we would think about on the spectrum of you being introverted, so what would Mary as a sixth grader at Olympiad, how would she be different than Mary as a senior at Olympiad?
I didn't really interact very much with other people. I was very quiet. I was always in the corner. I had maybe one or two friends to talk to. And I mean, this year at Olympiad, I was the leader of my group.
I really appreciated at Olympiad seeing you because I was one of the leaders in your group, adult leaders. Just seeing you strive to include everybody. You know, you weren't the shy kid sitting in the background. You were the one asking the shy kid to participate in an event and say, hey, why don't you take a turn at this? And I think that's just a neat way that I have seen God grow you throughout the years of just kind of turning the roles around and recognizing those kids who used to be you and then helping invite them to say, hey, you can do this. You don't have to be shy. Like you can be a part. And I just think that's a really neat way that I have seen God grow you throughout the years.
So in sixth grade, I met like my group of friends that, I mean, I still hang out with them now, but in sixth grade and like all through middle school, I felt like I was being loyal to them by not making new friends. And even though they didn't treat me the best, I was like, oh, well, they're my best friends, so I can't hang out with other people. But in high school, I started to branch out a lot more because I did realize that I should be treated differently or like I should be included in stuff. So I started including other people in what I was doing. And now I have like my best friends I have today. Mm-hmm. And so I think they changed me. And I think I hopefully also changed them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we all kind of invite people into our circle because that's what how we became friends. So we kind of just make more friends off of us being friends.
I think I was really self-centered when I was in middle school and like didn't really care about what other people like thought, and like I was really judgmental. And I'm not like perfect now, but I've like gotten better about like just like looking back to like what Jesus said, like how to treat people and just like going off of that.
Why, now that you have your freedom in your cars, whatever, like why do you still come and why did you make an effort all these years to invest in church?
I think one thing that brings me is that we're all here for the same reason. And we're all alike. Even though we have our differences, we're more alike than different because of God and how we devote our lives to him. So I feel like that is like one of the really big things for me.
I think for me, it was just like the community and like, I mean, I've known these people for like ever. So, but it was just like the other people that like you just grow close to and you're like, I want to see these people every week. And then you can have those like in-depth conversations about God and like you just grow closer to God like through the people that you're surrounded with.
I'm a pastor's kid, so like you said, my parents always made me come. Like, if I was, excuse me, unless I was sick, I was here every single Sunday. Once I got my driver's license and was able to make the decision of, is it important to me? It's a combination of what they said again, just the fact that I like the community. It's a great space to be in. It's a safe space. You don't feel like you're being judged. You know that everybody is going to welcome you and treat you with kindness. You know that everybody's here for the same reason. We're all here to praise Jesus. It's just, that's when I realized that I really needed to start making an effort about making sure I was here and I was here on time, and that I was making sure that I was making connections with people.
Having come through the journey that you did with middle school and high school, getting to this point today and being where you are, what would you want yourself to know back then?
I think one thing I would tell people that are younger than me, like middle school, is that high school is hard, but as long as you surround yourself with the right people who have the right mindset, you'll be perfectly fine, because you're all there for the same goal. It's to graduate and to educate yourself and to have a community. And I would just suggest to not let people sway who you really are. Don't change for other people, because that could be easy.
Don't let your friends manipulate you just because you think it's okay because they're your friend.
Be friends with people who are like not your age, because I think you can learn like from people who are younger than you and older than you. It'll just like help you out in the future.
Mm-hmm. I really like that though, Kiana, because so many times we do get focused in our own circles of like, ooh, just seniors or just the people in my grade. And you're right, you can learn from people of all ages and seasons of life, and you can be an encouragement to those younger than you, or an example for them to look up to. And so don't just be so focused on your right here and right now. Okay, so what's next for each one of you? Where will you be moving on to in the fall?
Going to Ball State, chirp chirp.
Study. What are you going to be studying at Ball State?
I don't know. It's undecided as of this moment.
I will be attending Purdue University in West Lafayette, and I will be studying animal science with the specifics of behavior and well-being, and focusing on pre-vet. So maybe going to vet school.
Nice.
If I still feel like it.
If you still feel like it. That sounds really interesting.
I'm excited.
Very smart. Mary.
I feel very left out. I'm like the only senior staying in town. But I'm going to St. Francis, and I'm going to be studying animation and hopefully minoring in illustration.
And I think that's one of the things that I have appreciated about just watching all of you guys grow and develop is, you don't all have to take the same path. You don't all have to go away and have the college experience there. Like, God has a specific plan for each one of you. And I think that's one of the neat things that I've been able to see in the last 4 years with you guys is just your growth and the path and journey you guys have all been on since, I've known you, and your commitment to coming to church. I thank you for that. And just the different life experiences that I've been able to come beside you guys and walk through, and just see you each develop your own personal relationship with the Lord, and seeing different ways how you live that out in school and in work and in church, and the ways that you guys have served and given of your time and poured into things at school. And I just have really appreciated that. And I can't wait to see where God leads you guys in the future. Anything you want to tell your friends or family as we're closing?
I want to say thank you to my parents because they're amazing, and I honestly don't think I could have wished for better parents. They've been amazing role models. They have loved me unconditionally, and they have given me so much patience and grace, especially when I don't deserve it. They've been my rock through everything in my life. They've supported me through everything. They've gone to every single one of my swim meets. They've gone to all of my awards. They've made me who I am today, and I can't imagine my life without them, which is part of why I'm staying home. I can't leave them.
Thank you to my parents who always support me and my weird ideas, and who always go to my cross-country races and pick me up from practice when I was not able to drive, and to go to my rugby meets and watch me lose some brain cells.
That is true.
Dang, roasted.
No, that's intense. When I went to your rugby match, I was like, oh my gosh, these girls are crazy. I could not do that.
Say thank you to my parents for always supporting me in everything I do, whether that be school, my like passion for what I want to do, or in show choir especially. It's always like been super encouraging and like has helped me go on and wanting to pursue these things.
All right, well, that is all we have for today, folks. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully you were able to connect with what the girls were sharing and just have a little insight into their journeys through middle school and high school. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Thanks for watching another banger of an episode.